So today we're going to talk about building a positive interrupter noise. It's such an easy, quick thing to teach your Chihuahua, but it's unbelievably useful. An interrupter noise is a positive noise that stops a behavior, that kind of cuts through the crazy, that cuts through the crazy barking, or interacting in the way that you're finding unhelpful. To give you an example, is our house, we back onto a public field, and Arlo gets very engaged with dogs that walk past, people that walk their dogs past the back of the fence. And I would use my positive interrupter noise to get him to disengage from that. So it's a really useful thing to teach your Chihuahua, and it's really easy. Now, there is a difference between a positive interrupter noise and a negative interrupter noise. So when you hear people say your Chihuahua's barking, and they'll say, well, get a can of coins and shake it, or use one of these little air horns at them, that's a negative interrupter noise. So that all that does is frighten the dog to stop what they're doing. A positive interrupter noise is a good redirection. It calls the dog away, cuts through the crazy, and calls the dog away to something more positive, something more interesting, and that has value for your Chihuahua. So the first thing I would say about your positive interrupter noise is you build it before you use it. And what I mean by that is you don't just suddenly start trying to use your noise or build your noise when it's all kicking off, because you need to build it so your noise, and when you make this noise, it's a natural thing for your dog to respond to it. If you try and teach them when it's all kicking off or in the situation, they're not going to be in a headspace for learning, and all you're probably going to do is poison your noise. So tip number one is you always work for the situation and not in it, and we build this noise with our Chihuahuas. We play this game with our Chihuahuas when they're nice and calm. So the first thing you need to do is obviously pick your noise and what you can do. Now we've got a couple actually that work with different dogs. You could just go bop, 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 something like that, or we roll our tongue, go brrr. Not everyone can do that. I think the world is split into people that can roll their tongue and people that can't. So first of all, you need to pick their noise, but it's not their name. Okay, don't use their name. This individual noise that you use has to have huge amounts of value for our dog, and it needs to be used for this specific purpose. So the first one is you need to pick your noise before you start to build it. Can be anything, but it needs probably to be a noise that you can make without a gadget. Some people click their toe, don't, something like that. Whatever noise you can make that we can then start to build into something that is has a positive association. So the next thing you need to think about is what food you're going to use. It needs to be high value, okay? None of your silly old kibble nonsense. It needs to be something that the dog's going to go, yeah, I like that noise. I respond to that noise. And the more high value the food is, the quicker you're going to build this kind of neural pathway or this habit that when they hear that noise, they respond to it. So use something like chicken, like pork, maybe a little bit of beef, or something that your dog is going to really value. Again, make sure you take it out of their daily food allowance, because Chihuahuas really easy to overfeed, okay? And no one wants a fat dog. So make sure that if you are going to be doing some training with your dog, that you measure a proportion out of their daily food allowance and you use that for your training. So once we're ready to get started, we're going to start using a corner of a room, okay? So you're going to be sat on the floor with your Chihuahua facing a corner in a room. And the reason we do this is because the dog then can't wander off anywhere and get involved with something else, and you're going to just be working on this one thing. So the dog is either going to be looking for the food or coming back to you, and there isn't an opportunity for them to wander off elsewhere. Your dog will probably work for a lot less food than you think. So obviously the smaller the food, then the more you get to train. But it's important that we don't overtrain and we don't tire the dog out with this and make it a negative experience for them. So literally while the kettle boils, okay? So you could do this a couple of times a day while your kettle is boiling, and that is probably going to be long enough for your dog. So you're sat on the floor, you've got your dog and you've got your food and you're facing a corner. You're going to bowl your food out with a get it, and your dog will go out and get it. And then the dog will turn around and they will look back at you and they will come back towards you. That's when you catch it. You are going to mark it with your interrupter noise. So the dog looks back at you, feed. Okay, chuck the food out again, feed when they look back at you. So we're working with Prince. This is our lovely little Princey, and he's actually really good at this, but I'll just give you a basic idea of how we build it to start with. Ready? So we've got some food, part of his daily food allowance. Ready? Get it. Good boy. Get it. Good boy. So you see him orientating back to me. Get it. Good boy. So it's that mark that we want to catch. It's that when he comes back to you that you want to catch that movement towards. So you're building the habit of when he hears that noise that they come back to you. That is what we're trying to build. Now, it's really important that when your dog comes back to you, you are rewarding that return back to you. We do not want the dog to sit. We are not going to do anything that encourages the dog to sit down or be still. This game is about movement. It's about getting the dog excited in orientating to you. So we don't want to confuse that with any other kind of behaviors that you've taught the dog. So sit is out. It's just food out and look back at you, feed. Food out, look back at you, feed. And as your dog starts to associate that noise with a high quality food, you can then start to move away from your corner and kind of increase the space between you and the wall or whatever you're working against. So the first thing you need to do is start to build this at home when your dog is calm. And until you've spent quite a lot of time building the cue so it means something to your dog, don't use it, okay? Because we do not want to poison it. So once you've actually started to build it, maybe in your kitchen's a good place to start, and you started to build this with your dog, then, and you move away and you're throwing the food out and you're increasing the distance and the dog is coming back to you, then you may be ready to up the level of the environment, because it's really easy for a dog to do something in the house when they're calm. So once you feel that they're ready, you can then move the game, possibly into the garden might be a good place to play with them. You ready? Okay, so we moved out to the garden and get it. Good boy, and get it. Good boy. And ready, 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 get it. Good boy. Ready, get it. Good boy, get it. Good boy, get it. So again, you could just replicate what you've done in the garden. So you might be playing up against a wall or something so that the dog can't wander off and get involved in something else. Throw your food out, dog orientates back to you, mark it, feed, okay? Mark it, feed. And then as the dog is able to work with you in a higher level environment, then you can start to move away from the wall and increase the space that the dog has got. So what I'm saying here is that you build up the distractions, or you build up the value of the environment that your dog needs to work in. And as they get better at this, you will move further away. So for us, if Arlo's down at the fence, our garden's like a 3-story garden. It's a bit weird. And we have like decking that's quite high up. It's like being on a ship. So he'll be down in the garden, maybe barking at something. I will go, puppy, and he will turn from the fence, sorry, words not coming. He'll return from the fence and he'll come flying up the deck stairs and get a reward. Now, I don't always have food on me when I am actually using the cue. So don't think you always have to have food on you. If you build it well and you build it so it's nice and solid, then your dog will just come in and you'll just be able to reward them with a fuss. But it is a good idea to redirect them to something more positive. So again, if Arlo comes in from getting involved with the back fence, comes up, I might just play a quick couple of games with him. I might just do a little spin with him, or play something with him, or just do something to take his mind off what he was doing. It's not just about calling him away from what he was getting involved in. It's redirecting him to something more positive. So this is how you build your positive interrupter noise. It's a really easy thing to teach your dog. It's unbelievably useful. We use it all the time when we're out and about on walks. If Arlo's or any of the dogs have kind of fixated on another dog, or their arousal levels going up, or they're just doing something that is just not something that I want them to get involved in, then we'll just interrupt that thought process or that behavior and redirect them to something more positive. So I hope that's been helpful. I would love to see your videos of you playing this game with your Chihuahua. If you've got any questions, please just put them in the comments and I will come back to you. Bye bye for now.